Our civic engagement was the comparative observational studies at library sites. Our 5 libraries that we explored are Fox Point Library, Wanskuck Library, Onlyville Library, Smith Hill Library, Mount Pleasant Library. As a group, we attended each library and observed them. I'm Caroline Whalen, and I will be talking about Fox Point Library.
I'm Gianni Rosa, and I will be talking about Mount Pleasant Library.
I'm Izzy Smith, and I'll be talking about Wanskuck Library.
I'm Tom DeGan, and I'll be talking about Smith Hill Library.
And then our last group member, who is not here due to sickness, will be talking about her library in a later time.
The first library we went to was the Wanskuck Public Library, which is located in the neighborhood of Wanskuck, which is comprised of 16,000 people, and it is number 6 out of 25 for the most diverse neighborhoods in Providence. It is 49.2% Hispanic and 29.1% white and 16.6% black. When we went to the library, the first thing we noticed was that there was not a lot of parking, and that we had to park in a parking lot behind the library, which was not actually part of the library parking, which was the first concern we saw. And we think that parking should be improved in the library so that more people could go to it. Then once we entered the library, it was a very welcoming environment. The librarian was a little concerned why we were there, so she talked to us and explained to us all of the resources that they had, and showed us all of the resources for children, including their vinyl cutter and their sewing machine and keyboards. And so although we really appreciated being taught, shown everything that was in the library and all the programs, we wanted to understand firsthand what was going on. A firsthand observation of the library, so we separated from the librarian and observed things at our own pace. We saw that in the children's section there were things labeled for different types of books and different programs for videos that people could rent. And we also found couches, and there's also a security guard who was observing, and he was concerned at what we were doing, and we tried to take a picture to remember what the space was, because it was our first library we were looking at, and we got in a lot of trouble for it because we didn't have the permission of the other patrons in the library, which we fully understand. Some resources that I researched that I didn't know were available were a borrowing program for audio kit equipment, Kindles, and etc. So people can go to the library and rent things that they wouldn't normally have access to, which I find awesome. There was also weekly events. So on every weekday from 2:30 to 4, there's homework help. On Tuesdays, there's yoga for children. On Wednesdays, there's art in the afternoon. And on Thursdays, there's a citizenship class, which for $25, you can be taught civic history and resources to pass the U.S. citizenship exam. And there's also free GED coaching, so people can get their high school diploma. So that was the Wanskuck Library.
The next library that we chose to go to and explore was Fox Point Library. And when we went there, we noticed that it's very hard to get to. There's very little parking. It was in the basement of a building, and it's just one big large room. It looks like crafts were done there. It's very children oriented. We saw that people were doing crafts and stuff, and then if you go and look at what they offer, there's regular programs for kids that include story times, crafts, homework help, and gaming. And the after-school programs that they offer are homework assistance, early childhood story times, and they call it crafternoons. In the crafternoons, you get to unwind from the week with an afternoon of crafting, and then children of all ages are welcomed. And then another thing that they offer is they have an open studio from 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Thursdays to help children of all ages, teens, get more used to like technology and how to use 3D printers and kind of just explore like basically arts and crafts again, which can help them in the school, in their public school. And one of the things that they offer is they hold technology classes for all ages every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. So Fox Point really focuses on children development and wants to make sure that they're all in like a safe environment. And a little bit about the location of Fox Point is it's a very nice area compared to all of the other libraries. It is centered in the middle of like or outside of Brown University. So it's very safe, and parents say that they feel like safe letting their children go and spend their time there after school because they know that the workers and the environment and the library staff is going to keep them safe, and they'll actually learn stuff rather than just like playing on the computers. They'll actually interact with other kids and explore themselves more in a safe environment. Going a little further into the location of Fox Point, it is the homes surrounding it are very nice. You can just tell like there's people running on the street. Like it's very like a safe community, and it's also a part of the Fox Point Boys and Girls Club. Like the qualitative description of what we found there. Again, it's like the only thing I would like fix is to make it more appealing and like more known that there is a library because it is actually very hard to find. Like lastly, the diversity of the people in the library, it was very high. It's very diverse, people of all ages, people of all races, which was very good, and you can tell that people feel like they're very safe in there. And the atmosphere is very welcoming. There's kid signs everywhere, fall decorations, and then there is also a lot of resources like copiers, computers, signs, different genres of books. And the interactions we saw were only very young people there, which again like shows that it's very children oriented, and it's just people feel like it's a safe place for their children to go to. And so that was Fox Library.
So another library that we visited was the Mount Pleasant Library, which is located in Providence, Rhode Island. So some facts about the area. The Mount Pleasant Library is at the center of its community. It is within walking distance of two elementary schools, Mount Pleasant High School and LaSalle Academy. There are no Boys and Girls Club or recreation centers in the area, so this library is sort of the place where students and children and whoever go to sort of gather in replacement of what a Boys and Girls Club would be. The population of Providence is 179,508. It consists of 42% Hispanic or Latino, 34.3% white alone, and 13.1% Black or African American alone. There are 83.6% of U.S. citizens in Providence, and it's ranked as the 16th most diverse community in America. So back to the library, some of the resources that Mount Pleasant has is book groups. So there's like friend book groups, mystery book groups, a taste of fiction book group, conversations book group, and these just gather students through the act of reading and analyzing the text and just going over it together. So the library's busiest time is from 3 to 6 p.m. It's where young people come to congregate, and a combination of young and old, traditional families, single family households, teachers, professionals, and non professionals alike come to the Mount Pleasant Library. There are 20 computers available to the guests. There's kids and adult areas, arts and crafts section, toys, 3D printer, and in the library, there's also, we noticed in our observations that there were signs that indicated what genres each book was and like where to find the kind of book that you want to read. Um, so these libraries, well, Pleasant, along with the other Providence public libraries, they raise funds that provide support for the many various needs that were not previously funded by Providence Public Library. These funds have helped to buy books, CDs, DVDs, and audiobooks, and provide money for children's programs, various events and performances, museum and zoo passes, and miscellaneous necessities as DVD racks and other supplies. It just makes it a more beneficial and comfortable experience for the students through these resources. Um, so, in our observations, the activities we noticed that people were doing, there were people on a computer, there were some teens in the teen room doing homework and studying. There was a man reading the newspaper, kids' Halloween books. We noticed some independent work, as well as building 3D comic characters. And there were just many people coming in and out of the library. There was an adult study table, books for sale in the front of the library section. There was a teen area. So it was, the library was actually one big room, but like these sections were smaller parts of that room. That the head libraries were really friendly. When they checked in people's books, there was like interaction between the librarian and the guests. And I also noticed a security guard that was also there, so to ensure the protection and safety of everybody coming in and out of the library. And we noticed that it was very diverse. There were many ages, black people as well as white people, and it seemed like a good place for everybody to come and like gather. And that is Mount Pleasant Library.
Another library we observed in Providence was Smith Hill. It is when we observed it, it was very diverse with many different, it was diverse in age and in race. In the community, it's also a very diverse neighborhood with a lot of different languages. And that makes sense because in the library, it had a section where they'd have English books and Spanish books. The staff is very attentive to children. There's a lot of activities for the children. They have their own kids' corner in the library, which made sense because there was kids there when we observed. What the community likes about the library is the air conditioning, which is huge for them. They redid some parts of it. One thing they do want is when researching it is they want more activities for teens there. When we did observe, it was mostly adults, older people, or kids, real young kids, with like their mothers. There wasn't many teens or it looked like high schoolers there. Another thing they wanted was more hours in the morning for the senior citizens, because like I said, there's a lot of seniors there, and they want there to be there in the morning. Another thing they really want to promote more is more programs for teens, especially job training, people that aren't going to college or that help them with resumes, their writings, and then applying for college is big. They want teens in there helping people, helping them apply for college. Um, a lot of the community is very pleased with the space they have at the library and the resources. But once again, they just want to emphasize they want more people to promote more activities for teens. They want more teens to come and use the resources for the library, mainly for their education or the jobs and other things like that. Thank you.
Hello, I will be speaking on behalf of Kylie Sheehan as she cannot present due to illness. Um, I'll be talking about the Olneyville Library in the Olneyville neighborhood of Providence, which has a population of 9,746, and the median household income is 25,129. The neighborhood is predominantly Hispanic. The library was unlike any of the other libraries we visited, as it was on a main street. It was very busy. There was a lot of cars. Like all the other libraries, there was not a lot of parking spaces, but we did find one in front. And when we entered the library, we were one of the only people there, and it is one big room divided in half. One is a children's section, and the other half is an adult section. What's interesting about this library is that it was all men who were there. The librarians were men, and everybody who was working at the computers were men. There were 6 people in total, and 5 of them were sitting at the computers, and one of them was sitting on his phone in a chair separate. This library was very different from the other libraries as it was very small, and it was unorganized as there was not many signs saying where certain books are and what genre is where. Also, one thing I found interesting was the children's space was a lot smaller than the other libraries that we went to. The resources that this library has to offer, the 3 main things I found were that there are free English as a second language classes at beginner and intermediate levels. Those classes are on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and there are free GED courses, like at some of the other libraries we've mentioned. Also, there are technology help hours. One thing I found interesting is there aren't many interactions between people or between the librarians. The librarians were not fazed by that we were there, and they all sat at the circulation desk in the back and didn't talk with us. Like all the other libraries, there were security cameras and a security guard there as well. I think that one thing that this library could improve on is making it more inclusive for young children, as it seemed like it was a predominantly adult library. So by expanding the children's section or making a clear divide between the adults and children's section, it could be more inclusive for children, and more children could be found going there and using the resources to their benefit. Thank you.